The impact of the Trump administration's efforts to slim down the federal government has had a reverberating impact for some. The White House's dismantling of the United States Agency for International Development is not only affecting the delivery of foreign aid, but also the civilians tasked to deliver that assistance. So joining me now is Kenneth Bledsoe, a USAID attorney who was stationed in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital city. He was able to escape the violence gripping Kinshasa, but faced a tremendous battle to get back to the States with his family. Kenneth, thanks for your time. Break down, what was that experience like for you?
So I woke up the day that this all took place, and the first thing I saw on my phone when I looked at it was that basically the entire leadership of USAID had been put on admin leave in Washington. So that was the first thing that happened that day. So I woke up fearing for my job, and by the middle of the day, things had gotten much worse. Protests had started to break out. We learned around the middle of the day that one of our colleagues had their gate to their home breached by protesters and had their home looted. Started to hear the protesters outside of my home and eventually ended up on a call with Washington trying to figure out how we're going to get out of here. And it became clear to me that no one had actually really thought through how this was going to work because all the leaders were gone. Nobody really even knew kind of what jobs they had in Washington. You've got your people around you in the embassy, right? We've got our security folks there. I put my faith in them because I know that they will do their jobs as well as they can, and the ambassador and the people in country who know the situation. But it was clear to me on that day that by the middle of the day, there was I was worried we might be abandoned there. Looking back, that might feel more unreasonable than it was at the time, but it's the most panicked I've ever been in my life. And I didn't have the heart to tell my family that I was worried that we might have to self-fund our way out of there.
And look, I know that this is playing out legally. You're a part of a lawsuit that's been challenging this. But can you walk me through where do things stand right now?
I've been trying to not follow the play-by-play on the lawsuits because I don't have a whole lot of confidence that at the end of the day this is going to save USAID. I really hope it does, and I to the extent there's reason to hope. I'm going to hope, but I can't follow it moment to moment. Like I get too invested in like a Wizards game, right? So I can't I can't follow the play-by-play on this. I'm going to be I'm going to wear myself out. Yeah. So I try to spend my day-to-day figuring out how are we going to eat, making sure the kids have a consistent experience now that they're back. We got out with only one little carry-on size suitcase each. That was
for
it.
For
a family of four. So we had four little suitcases. And I'm going to come to you today in my dad's sweater, right? Because I don't have really good clothes to wear on TV. So we're trying to rebuild a life from scratch. And there's a set of allowances the agency's supposed to pay us for that. There's a daily allowance for housing and for food and stuff like that. And they have not been paying most of us from DRC for that allowance. Right now, the agency owes me about $16,000, and for the group of us from USAID DRC, it's around $400,000 they haven't paid us.
Yeah. Well, and so when you were talking about your particular experience, I imagine you have colleagues that have had similar.
Yeah, everyone from USAID DRC has their own kind of remarkable story to tell. There are people who had to leave pets behind. There are people whose spouses had to stay back, right? Because there was a small skeleton crew that kind of stayed back. One of the remarkable things about the journey, we escaped by boat across the river. So it was not, we couldn't get to the airport. That wasn't safe. And then once we made it to Brazzaville, which is the city across the river, we flew back. But on that plane, it was only us, right? It was only the evacuees from Kinshasa. It was USAID, it was also state, it was CDC, it was all the agencies that work overseas with us. But the level of sort of camaraderie and support that people were giving each other was really something incredible. People were changing each other's babies' diapers, right? When one mom needed a break, another mom would jump in. And
wow.
Kids were building like blanket forts in the rows of the airplane, right? It was a community space. And that was really great to have that during this difficult time. But then when we landed, we learned about sort of what was going on with Trump and Elon Musk calling us criminals, saying we're a criminal organization that needs to die, feeding us into the wood chipper, right? We just risked our lives. I risked my life and my family's lives only to land in the USAID and be under attack, or to land in the United States and be under attack in a completely different way.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because, I mean, Elon Musk has characterized the agency as a, quote, criminal investigation. Obviously, it was one of the first that drew the ire of Doge. And so, you know, to hear that rhetoric lobbed at you and your colleagues, I mean, you've got to have some feelings about that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So, I mean, my wife, my 2 children, we risked our lives for this country. You know, we heard the mobs outside our gates, right? We heard explosions, we heard gunshots. They were, you know, thankfully never tried to breach our gate, but it was clear if they had tried to, we would have been in very big trouble. And again, this did happen to one of our colleagues, so this was not a theoretical concern at this point. And then to land in the United States and have like the richest person in the world calling you a criminal after you just risked it. They called us radical Marxists who hate America, right? We love America more than anybody. We love it so much, we're trying to export the ideas of America to the Congo, which is a difficult assignment even by USAID standards. Yeah. You know, and USAID already works in the most difficult places in the world. And so I am not a person who gets caught up in social media drama on a regular basis. I don't, you know, I have like a Facebook or something, but that really, really hurt. I mean, we were in obviously a really intense emotional state at that time. We had been awake for 30 hours at one point during this evacuation, you know, myself and the children. Yeah. And then to be attacked like that after having risked so much and gone through so much, and then to be where we are now and just be kind of left hanging out to dry because they're breaking all of the payment systems and utterly turning the entire agency into utter chaos. It really stung a lot. Like it hurt. It still hurts.
Yeah. I hear that. Well, Kenneth, I'm glad you and your family are okay. I'm glad that you were able to escape, and we're certainly keeping you in our thoughts. I appreciate your time today.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me on.